Imagine making $300 a day simply by what you're writing. We're going to be breaking down freelance writing. This is part of our 101 side hustle ideas, and we're going to be breaking this down into 7 different parts. You'll understand what freelance writing is, who is this best for, the expertise level that you need to have, 3 ways to get started, the tools for freelance writing, and how much you're going to be making when you do this. So let's get into it. First of all, what is freelance writing? Well, this involves you writing articles, blogs, or content for businesses. Now, let's take a look at a couple examples of freelance writing. Some are obvious, some aren't. Number one, you could be guest blogging, you could be a court reporter editor. Did you know that? Publishing house editor, or a YouTube content script writer. So there are tons of different ways that you can do freelance writing. The bottom line is you've got to pick a style or a format that works best for you, which brings us to the next question. Who is this best for? Now, this is great if you're a hobbyist or expert in a specific field. Did you notice how I said you didn't have to have a degree in literature or English or something like that, or whatever language you speak? It's important that you're a hobbyist or expert in the field because that way you can be prolific. You can talk about it a lot, you can write a lot about it. And so you need to either be formally trained and you're an expert, or you need to be very, very interested. You're a fanatic about that subject. Now, let's go into the expertise level that's needed. I would rate this 3 out of 5. And the reason I would say this is you cannot simply just go into this and say, well, I'm going to use Chat GPT and just make all of the money in the world. If you don't have the passion for the subject, if you don't have the background, it's going to be really difficult. You can use AI, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. It can help you, but it's not going to do all of the work, and it's not always right. So that's why it's going to be 3 out of 5. If you have the passion and you like reading and writing, this is for you. The other point that we mentioned is AI writing tools can assist, but it may lack accuracy and flow. So just because you might ask, go into OpenAI and go to Chat GPT, you might say, like, write me, 800 word blog post about X. The cadence, the way that it writes, it might not be best. And if you just copy and paste it, it's not going to be great. You can use it for assistant, but that's not the greatest way. And there are tons of things right now where if you do a basically just a word dump, it's not going to be great with SEO ranking. You can fool it for a while. And if you want to know about that, let me know in the chat down below. But for a long lasting piece of content that works, you it's going to take partly a human, right? AI can help, but you need to really make sure that you're editing it and you're making sure it's the right kind of cadence, it's the right kind of flow, and all those things. And yes, you can use certain prompts that will help, but you've got to make sure that you do the basics before you just think you can just do AI totally right now. So let's talk about the 3 ways to get started. The first one is local markets. Offer to write articles for local businesses to improve their SEO and online presence. So, if you know of an electrician, a plumber, a chiropractor, a physical therapist, a lot of times, what do they want? More business. How can they have more business? Well, they can increase their ranking using Google My Business and have more ratings and more testimonials. That's one thing, and you can actually help them with that as well. We'll talk about that on another side hustle episode. But also having them updating their site regularly with content that makes sense and that's topical for their business, that's another way to rank. Now, what does SEO stand for? It's search engine optimization. So the more content they have that is good, that your user wants to read about or potentially read about, the higher rank they're going to be. So if it is a chiropractor and you're talking about articles about how to get rid of knee pain or lower back pain, that can really help them rank higher. They have all these great ideas of stretches and different things that they could do at home. And then they could do a call to action where they could set up an appointment, something like that. You could be doing that for a local business. Another one is consider writing for a local sports team or a minor league sports for less competition. This is how I broke into the industry when I first started writing. I wrote for ESPN, but for ESPN W. So it was the women's issue. So I used to cover the Washington Mystics. And then also too for the minor league, I would follow at the time it was the D League, now it's the G League. I would be looking and writing for basketball teams that are not the main teams. It would be the minor leagues or the developmental leagues. You can be doing the same thing where you're looking at a very specific blog. For example, if you love the Celtics, shout out to the Celtics, you could be going for Celtics blog and celticsblog.com. You can write for them or something like that. So there are tons of different ways that you can do it. And working as a writer for a blog, you get experience, you can get your name out there, and then work your way up to other nationally known um, either online brands or local papers and things like that. Next up, example, working as a YouTube, let's break this down. Yeah, YouTube content script writer. So this was an example of the channel, the casual criminalist. He has tons of channels, but really all the content that is created for him to talk about his stories, about all of these different cases, his writers do this. And some of the writers that he have, they're novelists, they're lawyers, they're all different types, and they actually write his stories. So you can be doing this if you're interested in a very specific influencer, they have a YouTube channel, or they create long form content. You can start writing their scripts. Writing scripts are hard, is hard. Like they're just hard. So doing that for a lot of these for a lot of these influencers, that's a huge thing that you could be doing. If you want to see all of his other channels, which have tons, a couple million each, he's just crazy. But this is just one of his channels, and he has multiple writers. That's one way you could be doing that as well. Next up, if we look at the online marketplaces, so there's a couple different ways you could be doing this. If you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to go out and try to find business, I just want business to come to me. Well, that could be possible, but you're going to have to look more towards a marketplace format instead. And there's pros and cons of marketplaces, but if you go to Fiverr, you can have your own profile and offer to do freelance writing, things like that. Or you could go to Upwork. That allows you, again, it's a marketplace. It's people looking for the service and all of those things. For example, if we say freelance writer, we can click return, right? You have all of these different ones that are offering their services, and you can be one of them as well. It's competitive, right? Because there's all of these different ones. So you've got to niche down or think about what your main offering is going to be. But yeah, content writing, freelancers, all of those things, copywriter, all different things you could be looking at doing. Next up, if you might say, well, I'm just getting started. I don't even have anything to show. I don't have a skills portfolio. And if you're interested in a skills portfolio, we did a whole episode breakdown of what that is, but that simply means you're displaying your skills either with a video or with a project. So if you need to develop your own skills portfolio and you need to start from scratch, think about contributing for a blog or a website for free. Just ask them, hey, I'm interested in this subject. I would love to write, I would love to do a guest posting, or I'd like to do this, once a month, something just to see so you can get some kind of cadence. And if they say yes, that's great. That will allow you to get your foot in the door. And then from there, you can ask to guest write at different places. You just always say, hey, I wrote over here. This is something similar to your kind of content. Would you be interested? And you could be doing that for getting experiences. So whatever format that you want, either targeting your local market, going online, either with a marketplace, or targeting just online in general for different groups or YouTube, you could be doing that, or getting experience. That's a great way to get started. Let's look at the tools for freelancing. What could you be using? Here are three different suggestions: Hemingway Editor, ChatGPT, and Writer. So let's break down what the Hemingway Editor is. It allows you to write clearly, and really, it really focuses on you writing in a simpler way. A lot of people, I don't know, I've got to look at the exact stat. I'm not sure if people enjoy reading at a second grade or fifth grade level, but the point is, most people like to read easy things. If you have a very dense a dense blog post or content that you're writing, a lot of people will just stop because it's just a lot. So this allows you to plug in your writing, and then it will give it a score of readability. It will break down what kind of words you're using, what could you decide to change out, and the easier it is, the better you're going to be to, again, convey your message to an audience, and for it to be readable and easy to read for people to take advantage of it. So Hemingway, that's an awesome app. I think I first heard from it or heard about it from Sam Parr, who wrote or started The Hustle, and it's a really good idea. The next one that we have is, yeah, Chat GPT. Now, this is for assistant or a framework. You can do this if you go to OpenAI and create an account, and you can even use the free version. The reason I would say this could work for you to get started is if you're having a um just if you're having trouble writing and you don't know where to begin, you can write prompts to help you get started. Or if you have a very detailed outline, you can ask it to flesh it out. There are tons of different prompts. There are better places. And if you want us to talk about our top prompts or who we go to when we're using ChatGPT, let me know in the comment section down below. But use this as an assistant. This is not going to be a one and all. You type in a couple words and then it spits out you know, the next best thing. It's not going to be, you know, going to win you any awards if you just have AI create the entire thing without it editing or giving it tons of prompts or understanding and creating your own GPT. But the thing is, this will help you if you're trying to flesh out a lot of your stories, or again, allows you to get the framework of when you're building out some of your material. It is not a substitute for a good writer, though. It can help, which goes into our next one. Writer. We use this a lot of times if we'll write it in Chat GPT and then we'll write it in Writer, look at the differences, and we'll just again write a variation to kind of see if we're on track or what we want to do or different variations. This also helps if we're writing like YouTube descriptions, if we're trying to optimize for SEO, we might look for very specific subheadings or things like that, so we use Writer. It's very fast. It just gives you a different flavor of what you can do. Now, the next part, which most people are interested in while you clicked on the video, how can I be making $300 a day? What can I make with freelance writing? Well, it really depends on what kind of writing that you're doing. That's the truth of the matter. Depending on if you're writing for a chiropractic office or you're writing for a startup, it can wildly be different how much people are going to pay you. But it really depends on what kind of value that you're going to be giving them. For example, if you write a blog post and that blog post helps a local business make more sales or get more leads, how much is that worth? Well, asking them how much is that worth for their business getting a lead, depending if it's an electrician, if it's a plumber, if it's a chiropractor, it could be several $100s just for one lead potentially. So framing how you're going to get paid, a lot of times you'll get articles will say, well, you only get paid by the amount of pages or by the amount of words that you uh, write. That's an old school way of more of a newspaper. It could be something that you could be interested in, but for the most part, look at opportunities of why this is going to be impactful for them and why you're going to need to get paid and leverage it that way. Now, if you're still like, I need a hard number, well, that's where you can go to either Fiverr or Fiverr Pro, and you can look at the pricing of some of these copywriters. So let's do copywriter, copywriting. Let's do that. Okay, so we see top ones. It says starting at 120 a 120 a project, and that's the starting, right? So it might go up from there, 120, 455, right? If we go here, we can see what what their service is going to be. So let's see if they have more of a description. Experience with working there, show more. Okay. So for this section, it's a little bit different than like the gig part of Fiverr where I'm getting an exact thing. Like say for instance, a level 2, I can look at $25 up to 500 words of research topics, 1,000 words in 5 days, 1,500 in 6 days, right? Something that's very specific. So when you're looking at Fiverr Pro, it might be a little bit different, but it's important to take a look at what's happening, where are you going to be, and look at the competition of what's necessary for your offering. Also depends on the industry that you're in. So now the way that we're looking at $300 a day, how is that possible? What's one of them? Well, we're looking at court reporting editing. That's one where you can get paid a dollar or several dollars per page that you're doing. And if you have a case, so what is a court reporter? Editor. So you have a court reporter, you have like a stenographer that's right or recording the case, and then they need it edited for grammar or clarity or something like that. They get an editor. So you working with the court reporter can make several $100s a day for one or two cases a day or one or two, yeah, cases that they're giving you. So that's just one way. And that's $300 could be the low end. Depends on how many hours you want to work, all of those things. And if you're looking at more lucrative, if you're writing for an email sequence, if you're making them a certain amount of money, you could be charging them more depending on that. If this is something that you're interested in freelance writing, or if you're interested in more of the 101 side hustles, let me know in the comment section down below. This is a new project that we're working on. We're seeing if people want us to go this in depth of side hustle jobs. Do you want us just to talk about different app ideas that you could be making money off of? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you in the next video.